Welcome, everyone. This Committee of the Whole Society's meeting is called to order at 4 p.m. on June 20th, 2023. Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelet on whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Audience members and delegates are advised that this proceeding is being video recorded and broadcast on YouTube and Zoom, which may store data on foreign servers. Are there any late items? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Councillor Mafty,
I'll second that.
Councillor Hoare, all in favor? None opposed, and that carries. Thank you for joining us today. Local community groups have been invited to provide an update on their group's activities. I will call your society's name, and if there is a representative here from the group, please feel free to provide us with an update. Please keep your presentation to 3 to 4 minutes, except for Chris, who gets longer. This time limit may be extended by council resolution. Members of council may ask questions at the end of each presentation. So first of all, we have West Coast Inland Search and Rescue, Marcy DeWitt. Hi, Marcy.
Hello, nice to see you all today. Sorry I couldn't join in person.
No problem.
Just wanted to give you a quick update on West Coast Inland Search and Rescue. We have had a slower couple years in terms of tasks. But this year we have seen an increase in our activity over starting, I guess, this spring and heading into our typically busy summer season. We are hoping to be doing a new intake of new volunteers this summer fall. So we'll be putting some word out to folks in the community if they're looking to get involved with search and rescue. It is a extensive training program, so it's about a 90-hour course that we put people through in-house. So we are just doing planning for that at this point, and hoping to have some new members primed and ready to get going with us in the next year or so. So not much in terms of search and rescue, but I think I was also here to talk to you with the Alberni-Clayoquot Health Network as well, if possible.
Absolutely. Have you had some people leave the search and rescue team? Is that why you're looking for more volunteers?
It's always cyclical. So there's a lot of coming and going with team members. We typically have a small handful of about 10 to 15 folks that are really active. But that does involve everything from running our society to running our equipment, tasks, and all other operations. So we do try to keep a fairly healthy group of about 30 so that we have enough folks to keep all that work going.
Great. Does council have any questions for Marcy? No? Okay, so you can present for Alberni-Clayoquot Health Network. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So in terms of the Alberni-Clayoquot Health Network, as always, we're working regionally from the Alberni Valley out to the Barclay communities, and then as well in the communities of the West Coast. So this year we are moving forward with our strategic planning for the next 5 years, so for 2023 to 2028. We've been doing a lot of work in the last 5 years around transportation and poverty reduction. So I hope that we'll be maintaining those areas of work. But two big updates in terms of transportation and poverty reduction. First being our transportation work within the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District. We are moving forward with the needs assessment with Watts Consulting. And so many of you were involved in that working group and should have some interesting kind of interim solutions for inter-community transportation between Ucluelet, Tofino, and the surrounding nations coming for the next year. We've also made some headway around medical transportation to medical services outside of Ucluelet and Tofino. So that's looking at specialty services, Alberni Valley and onward. So we'll be working with Island Health Rural Contracts in order to be putting that forward. So we're just in an engagement process right now, and we'll hopefully be seeing an RFP for services be put forward this fall to ensure that services similar to what we had with Wheels for Wellness, but much more stable, will be put back into our community. And then updates around poverty reduction. We've been successful very tentatively at this point for our next phase of funding for the poverty reduction work. And that will be looking at doing some work around building equity and reducing stigma in the populations that are seeing, I guess, the biggest impacts of poverty and racism in our communities. So the Building Equity project will be focused on decolonization workshops, some anti-racism workshops and trainings in our community, and then also some work around stigma reduction in specific populations and how we can increase service access to folks while decreasing the stigma that they might be facing. And that's all of our updates.
Thanks, Marcy. The public transit system is going to start in January, from what I understand. And I forget the name of the company that the ACRD chose, but they are able to provide a public transit system between Tofino, Ucluelet, and Itatsu on a regular basis, correct?
Tofino, Ucluelet, Itatsu, Tayastenas, and Esawista.
Yes, right. That's really good news. Any questions for Marcy from Council? Great, thanks, Marcy.
Thanks, all.
Next up, I have Coastal Family Resource Coalition and Faye Missar. Welcome. You'd have to use the mic because we're on Zoom.
There you go.
Great. Okay, hi, thanks. I'm Faye Missar, and I'm the coordinator for the Coastal Family Resource Coalition. It's a health network for the West Coast, and it brings together people monthly working in health and social services and community to talk about health priorities and promote health promotion for the region. So our monthly meetings now have paused for summer, and will resume in September. Our meeting will be in Tayastenas or Ahousaht in person, so we are just doing hybrid meetings now. And our last June meeting was really good. We had Hashiakmas, who's the hereditary chief of, or one of the hereditary chiefs of Ahousaht, come to speak about the plans for Ahousaht Healing Center, which is, they purchased the old Tofino Wilderness Resort. So they have plans to create a holistic healing center with a focus on substance use, detox treatment, cultural programs, and youth programs. And he's got a consultant, Angie Brunoni, on right now doing a lot of work supporting that vision, and they're looking to partner with local service providers to deliver programming, and they're in a stage where they're looking for letters of support from community and other organizations in the region expressing the need for this type of center, which is, we have no treatment or detox or any type of centers based locally. So it's a huge need. It's not just open for Ahousaht, it's open to people with all people in the region and then eventually internationally as well. So I encourage you to support it. And then from our harm reduction committee, we have a few working groups or committees which focus in on some health topics of concern in the region. So one's around harm reduction, substance use, and we are helping to facilitate a pilot program come out to the coast, a drug checking kiosk. Probably we'll only get one for the region, and it'll probably get put up in Tofino. So right now I'm helping find a place where it's going to be best access, but it has to have a person. So you'd be able to bring in a small, like a match head sample of substance and check it for the 6 top substances in there, and then the data would be sent to UVic through their substance use research program, but also the user would get the information right away. Right now it's a mail-in check-in service is the best you could do here, and it's like 2 weeks. So that's great. And then, so if anyone has any ideas, you can let me know of where that could best serve our region. Then we're also planning a harm reduction educational series event aimed at the hospitality and food and bev industry sector, particularly focusing on resorts with large staff accommodations. This is at the request of physicians and other mental health substance use service providers seeing a real need for this. If you think about people who live in staff accom, it's not the healthiest work environment. Living environment in terms of density, and also it's a lot of people who are living independently for the first time in their life, and they're doing so away from their typical family and support networks. So just want to try to increase awareness for those staff and people around, like where to access services. Our services are super limited, as you probably know, but where they can access services, and then also aim it target some to actual managers and people who are responsible for those staff and for the living conditions and working conditions in which they work and live. So to help try to give those people the tools to create a healthier work and living environment. Working with the harm reduction coordinator for Island Health and our harm reduction working group to see that come to fruition for this season. And then Marcy already talked about the medical transportation. I was involved in some of that input on the RFP. I think that's all I've really got for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And that medical transportation was an Island Health.
So
initiative?
they're going to put out an RFP. I can't remember if they're putting it out in the fall. Yeah, I think in the fall. So right now they're doing engagement, which Marcy's supporting, connecting the contractors that are working on that with local organizations to give input. So part of the feedback I gave is that it'd be great if it wasn't just transportation outside, like going to Port Alberni, but also like people living in Ucluelet to Tofino or Itatsu to Ucluelet. Maybe perhaps why Wheels for Wellness didn't have the demand that it was anticipated. So I think it's pretty open. By talking to the contractors, they seem pretty open to exploring different models. And so if anyone has ideas and want to get put in touch with those, I'd reach out to Marcy and she could do a direct connection, because they're looking to talk to more people.
That's great. That was a problem with Wheels for Wellness. They wouldn't go from Ucluelet to Tofino because it wasn't far enough.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was an issue.
Yeah, big issue.
Does council have any questions for Faye?
I got a quick one, Faye.
Okay.
Your drug checking kiosk, you said the data from that will go to there's a long-term study going on
There's a department or a program at the University of Victoria. So it's Substance Use Research Center, I think it's called. They also collect like alcohol, like the per capita alcohol use data. And right now there's drug checking in Victoria, and I think pretty sure I'm not sure if they run it, but they get the data. So they're monitoring like substances, right? It's just it's not at all like personal information for the user. It's more so like what's in the drugs, and so they're tracking that and monitoring it.
And tracking for like the nasty substances.
Yeah, for all of it. Like right now, like a lot of drugs are cut with benzos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then now you need and so that can, once you have the awareness, then the health promotion can be targeted around that. So it's maintaining breathing is now like your response to someone when they're OD'd. So is more important than ever. So yeah.
That's just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about like sort of the footprint you need and some of that. I'll ask you about it
Okay.
outside.
Yes.
I might have some ideas.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be great.
Thanks, Faye.
Thank you.
Next, we have West Coast Community Resources Society. Jill McQuaid. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I just have some notes. So we have a new executive director, Lori Hanna, but she couldn't be here today. So I'm here to speak for WCRS. So thank you for the opportunity to share information about the different and essential programs delivered by our organization through our main office here in the community center through the hub. Our programs offer low barrier, accessible support to youth, adults, and families dealing with an array of issues. So we have 10 ongoing regular programs, which include our more commonly known programs such as the Peace Program, Community Outreach, which delivers the tax program, and free community lunches every Thursday. Our Women's Outreach Program, which helps women along the same lines with whatever government programs they need to navigate, but also, excuse me, fleeing violence and abuse. Our less familiar programs include the Community Living Program, which supports adults who are differently abled with one-on-one client staff support, and our Youth Special Needs Resource Program that works one-on-one with youth ages 6 to 9 with various developmental disabilities as well as life skills. We also have a transition house and a second stage house, and those are the programs that I manage. We have some new and exciting programming coming soon, which will include a more formal announcement on supporting survivors of sexual assault on the West Coast. And we were successful in getting a CBT Vital grant this year to roll out critical incident stress debriefing. And that will create a team that will support the entire West Coast. And we're still waiting to hear about potentially Rapid Housing Initiative, which we're collaborating with the District of Ucluelet on. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, the Rapid Housing Initiative, that announcement should be coming any day now. I think they said mid-June. Is that correct, Mr. Lawrence?
That is correct, but we are still waiting.
Does council have any questions for Jill?
I do.
Councillor Hoare?
Okay.
The critical incident stress debriefing, are you guys going to be doing the training stuff, or are you just setting up? I did that training years ago, and I did it for like 8 years. So
Yeah, so what I think the hope for the program is to bring the training out and to train a variety of different people in different communities, so that if there is a critical incident, that there's someone that can do debriefing for an organization or a community. Yeah, just to bring that to make it way more accessible for the communities.
for sure, it's a great program.
Thanks, Jill, for coming today.
Yeah, no problem.
Next, I have the Care Network. James Rogers. Do we have James on Zoom?
James, are you on Zoom? I don't see James online at this time.
Okay, he may pop on later. We'll keep looking for him. Wild Pacific Trail Society presentation, Joshua McCullough. Welcome.
Hi, so my name is Josh. I'm a new naturalist with Wild Pacific Trail here in Ucluelet. If you don't know anything about us, we have a mission to connect people with nature. We've got this beautiful trail in Ucluelet, and we have excellent community programming, interpretive programming every week. So we have 2 staff now. That's new. We've only ever had 1 naturalist. We have 2 this year. We have a brand new office space, which we share with Rain Coast Education Society. It's really very, very nice office. We have a brand new tent. It's a quality tent. Yeah. We've got a new table. We've got some really great interpretive props that we got from Acorn. It's exciting, actually. So we've got some new programs. I'll let you know. I've got one that's about trees, talking trees. We've got our carnivores stuff. We've got Strawberry Isle coming on Wednesdays to do their Build-A-Whale. We've got an awesome bog walk. We've got a really cool big beach display day, and the aquarium will be coming to join us for that this summer. We're having like tide pools exploration days, and when the tide is too high, we do like a big beach display show and tell. So if anybody has neat things they want to show off that they found on the beach, come on down. Other partners, we're having Redfish. So we're having the Salmon Trail booth and some salmon walks this summer. I already mentioned Strawberry Isle Marine Research Society. We have Rain Coast Education Society coming to do booths with us. The aquarium. We've got a Wild Safe BC is coming 3 times this summer. And we've got local guest speaker Ian Cruikshank coming for some birding walks. And we will be at Yuki Days also. So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks for that update. Any questions for Josh? No, I think you're good. That's great. Thank you.
Congrats on the table, Josh.
Next, we have the Ucluelet Children's Center. I believe Kathy DeVries is on Zoom.
Kathy, are you on Zoom? I don't see Kathy here right now.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for her. Tourism Ucluelet, Denise Dice-Norman.
Denise, you can... Oh, she's there. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be there in person. From a Tourism Ucluelet perspective, well, just other than the last couple of weeks has kept us quite busy. From an organizational standpoint, Tourism Ucluelet, shortly after our AGM, we implemented a new sustainability committee as well as a visitor services task force, including, and the intent for those two was to take the tourism master plan as well as our new 5-year plan and start looking at tourism impacts and how we can make small changes in a long-term capacity through action items made in a template that we've been provided. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at my notes. But our focus moving forward is going to basically take this umbrella of sustainability action planning and really start integrating key components that Tourism Ucluelet is able to do in a marketing capacity when it's talking to visitors about coming to the West Coast, more so than just what we're doing with Salty, but also looking to see how we can support stakeholders and other organizations through this tourism sustainability lens. And so for the past few months, since I presented to council and moving forward, that's going to be a large component of our focus. And right now in the imminent future with regards to the highway reopening, this is as good a time as any to speak to council, just to kind of let them know what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. We have been speaking with multiple ministries, as well as been participating on calls with the district, as well as other strategic organizations about how we can advocate for the businesses in the area who have lost substantial amounts of money in such a short term when a lot of them were still recovering from COVID. We are preparing to partner with Tourism Tofino, as well as other organizations, including Destination BC and 4VI, to really support through the summer with ad campaigns. It's something we have never really done in the summer. We've been fortunate that way, but because of the soft summer that was coming forward, And then with this added impact, it's something that we will be focusing on this summer and into the fall to see, to try to help slow down a lot of the loss that has happened because of the uncertainty that unfolded at the beginning of, around the beginning of the wildfire. And just for anybody who is on this call, I just received or participating in this. If anybody has had impact from EI challenges, then MP John's office has asked for us to notify them right away. He's actually going to be speaking tomorrow during question period to raise the emergency EI access. So I just wanted to bring that up if there's anybody that's here or has spoken to a business that has been impacted by staff leaving, because that is now a current concern. So I just wanted to raise that now, just so, you know, I presented to council very recently about what our plans are for the next few months and moving into next year, but because the wildfire conversation is so imminent, and I just wanted to let everybody know sort of where we stand and sort of how we're trying to help navigate our stakeholders through hopefully what will be an opening on the weekend to get their businesses back up and running for the summer. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me, but that's sort of where we are right now in a nutshell.
Thanks, Denise. And you have a survey for businesses to fill out, is that right?
That is correct. So, and I sent it out the other day. We've already had about 48 businesses completed, but the Chamber of Commerce will be, and now that they have the new executive director in place, they will be sending it out. So any non-tourism related businesses also have an opportunity to complete that information. So there's a bit more broader spectrum of impact. I know the fish farms have been having a lot of challenges over the last few weeks as well. So it's just capturing that information also.
Great, thank you. Does council have any questions for Denise? No, well, keep up the good work, Denise. It's this has been a bit of a rough go for messaging.
Yes.
Should you come
Absolutely.
or should you go?
Yeah, no, definitely, and we're hoping that will be solidified imminently about the communication feedback. So, you know, we'll definitely keep everybody posted.
Thanks, Denise.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Next up, I have Food Bank on the Edge Society. That'd be Chris. Welcome, Chris.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Just want to thank Mayor and Council again for the boost of our donation, that the check has been received and deposited, so thank you very much. Lately, since the shutdown, we've been kind of the sweetheart of many organizations. The Food Bank on the Edge. Well, first of all, I'm Chris Martin with Food Bank on the Edge. So we've had, everyone's been calling me to make sure that we are okay, that we have food. I've had calls from the All One Fund Foundation, which was the organization that gave us the money for our down payment on our building. I've talked to CBC Radio twice. We've heard from the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, everyone reaching out, which is so gratifying, to make sure that we're doing okay at the food bank. The Salvation Army in Port Alberni, and also the Food Bank's BC regional regional representative for Vancouver Island. They've all been keeping tabs on us, and I'm happy to report that we have been getting our food. Our orders are still being filled because we have, as everybody knows, supplies are getting through. And our business, our operation has pretty much run without any hiccups at all. So just want to put that out there, that everybody's been really kind and concerned. Other than that, we've just been trying to work on just furthering our building project, and Mr. Lawrence gave me some update on information regarding our land requisition, our land, I don't know, lease, thank you. So I will pass that along to my board, and yeah, so we've put the down payment on the building. That happened in March, and we are awaiting the serialized prints of the building. And once that gets done, we were going to then forge ahead with the building permit, but I'm assuming that can't happen until we get the other thing done. Is that correct? Can we, do you know what I mean, I'm asking?
I believe so.
Okay.
We can talk about it offline.
Okay. Okay. We'll solve that mystery later, I guess. So yeah, anyway, it's the Tofino Ucluelet Culinary Guild has been very generous to us, as they always have been. And so we've been sharing donations lately because of the situation with the highway. And again, all of our out-of-area deliveries to Tofino, the First Nations communities outlying, which we get through the outreach workers at the West Coast Community Resources Society, have all been handled without any interruption. So yeah, we're all good. So that's really all I have right now. Any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Is there anything that you could use that you don't have quite enough of, like dog food or?
Well, we ran out of soup, but it's summertime, and we give, people get a lot of food ingredients. They can make their own soup, But a lot of people don't eat soup in the summer. Right now, once the highway opens, I think we'll be able to get some of our shoppers who come and go to Costco to pick up some things for us, but we have plenty of food. The co-op gives generous donations to us every week, including bread and produce. So we really are just basically, operations are pretty much status quo. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
I hope Costco is watching the progress on Highway 4, because they're going to have a whole lot of shoppers heading there as soon as that road opens. Thanks, Chris, for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Next, we have Surfrider Pacific Rim, Sophie Peters. Welcome.
Is it? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Hi, I'm Sophie Peters, Chapter Coordinator at Surfrider Pacific Rim. Our organization is dedicated to the protection of the ocean, waves, and beaches, and we operate across the Pacific Rim and have a lot of campaigns and programs that we focus on in both the districts of Tofino and Ucluelet. So today I wanted to bring just some updates on our current campaigns and programs, as well as some accomplishments we had this year, and then where we're planning to go, or last year, and where we're planning to go this year further. So last year across the Pacific Rim, we spent a total of 23 days cleaning local coastlines, engaging more than 400 volunteers, and removing more than 14,000 pounds of debris from the local environment. And so far this year, we've continued to do a lot of cleanup works, doing 10 cleanups so far, 3 of those recently being within the district of Ucluelet, as well as engaging with lots of youth and doing youth cleanups as well. And then with our youth environmental stewardship program, we fold in some of our curriculum that's around ocean plastics, marine debris pollution, and we bring that into our beach cleanups to further engage with youth. Also through that program, we do lots of work with the Surfrider Youth Club, which is based here out of Ucluelet Secondary School. The club has had a really successful year so far and are currently working on a campaign to improve recycling in the school. Another program that we have is our Hold On to Your Butt program. Last year was really successful in recycling 300,000 cigarette butts across the districts of Tofino and districts of Ucluelet. One hiccup we've come into this year with that is we've lost our public recycling drop zones in both the district of Ucluelet and the district of Tofino. They used to be at Ozark Environmental, but we no longer have those sites for drop-off. So we're looking and would love to collaborate with the district to possibly find a new location for that here, so that public can also, not just businesses getting their butts collected, but also the public can drop off their butts as well. and keep that recycling going. Yeah, and since that program launched, it's been 1.3 million butts recycled, which has been super exciting. And then, yeah, moving on to our campaigns, we last year, in collaboration with the District of Ucluelet, we completed our Cut the Cutlery campaign, which added single-use plastic cutlery to the single-use plastics bylaw. And on World's Ocean Day this year, June 8th, we did a delegation here with the district for our Take Back the Tap campaign, which has an objective of eliminating single-use plastic water bottles 1 liter and under from the community. Lots of engagement work and working with businesses has happened with this. This has included contacting 137 local businesses across the Pacific Rim on their compliance with the campaign, and beginning engagement with all local First Nations, which has so far also included full support from Taloquit First Nation, Tokowat First Nation, and communication processes with Heshquit First Nation, Ahousaht First Nation, and Ucluelet First Nation. And yeah, we're doing some work with a Foam Free Docks campaign as well. Most of that work so far has been based in the district of Tofino, but at the federal level, we're really hoping to push Motion 80, which is a motion to eliminate EPS flotation from the marine environment across the country. And so we're really reaching to get that information out to our network right now, and hoping to support that motion to coming into fruition. Yeah, that's pretty much all our updates. And yeah, happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Sophie. You came very prepared. That's awesome. Can you explain what EPS flotation is?
Yeah, so that's expanded polystyrene. And an issue we find with that here, particularly in BC, is that 80% of flotation is made with this material, which breaks down into little tiny microplastics and degrades over time. And even when we removed the First Street dock recently from Tofino, it was barely together, like there was barely any EPS foam of it left. And unfortunately, that's the circumstance for a lot of flotation. It's really expensive to replace that flotation, but there's cheap solutions to using air-filled billets and avoiding that material altogether. So this is really to work towards moving forward, making sure that no additional EPS is entering the marine environment.
Great, thank you. The Bottle Depot took over Ozard Environmental. Have you reached out to them to see if they'll take on your BUTS program?
Yeah, we've reached out and we've just had some hiccups with communication. We've talked with the District of Tofino about potentially having it at the Public Works Yard and thought that could potentially be a solution for the District of Ucluelet as well upon further conversations. It's really ideal if we can keep it consistent across communities, so communications is just easy for everyone. But for now, we have a temporary solution that we're doing, and we've with the Ucluelet Co-op grocery stores in both districts, we're hosting a public drop once a month where we put up our tent and people are invited for the day to come just drop off their butts, and which is a fun way. It really brings awareness to the program as well, but ideally it's most effective to have a permanent zone where people can just drop consistently.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Hoare?
Just a quick one. Motion 80, is that like a federal
Yes.
thing?
Federal motion. Yeah, so that's happening more at the Surfrider Foundation Canada level, but a part of our association with that is getting that information out to the public here as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you for your presentation. Next, we have Redfish Restoration Society. Megan Francis, welcome.
Hello. Okay. Can you guys hear me? How close do I have to be? So, I'm here. Sorry, I apologize for the coughing. I literally had not coughed one single time today. It just happened when I got in here, of course. But I'm just giving an update for Redfish Restoration Society. We used to be Central West Coast Forest Society for 20 some odd years, and we recently just switched our name. So just new name, same us, what we're saying. So we actually, I'm just gonna take this out. I'm very leaning. Have a bit of a pregnant belly, so I can't really like stand to the microphone. So we actually have a lot on the go right now. We're bigger than we've ever been before. We have almost 30 staff members right now. So the focus of Redfish Restoration, if you guys don't know us, is habitat restoration in damaged watersheds, mostly affected by forestry, and then employment and training for local and Indigenous people in this region. So right now, one of the new things we're doing is we're doing emergency fish salvage, something we haven't ever done on a large scale before, but because of the drought, almost all of the systems are having these like really quick dry ups, and there's no more snow melt coming for this region. So a lot of these systems that have these like wider, shallower creeks or whichever are drying up and create these isolated pockets that have like hundreds and hundreds of salmon in them. And that's something we always see kind of towards the end of the summer, but because it's happening so early, we're actually like going and relocating them into areas that aren't going to dry up or be exposed to really poor water quality. So we're doing that in Heshkrit, Howzit, Clayoquot territory right now. And as far as restoration goes, we have quite a bit slated for this year. We just kind of wrapped up a ton of landslide stabilization work in Heshkrit Harbor. So we've been doing that for 3 years. So yeah, a lot of that involves planting, grass seeding, and building these structures called MBLs, modified brush layers. And so this year, just before kind of the drought set in, we built 50 of them. So it's basically building like terraced staircases into landslides. So it creates little areas where vegetation can establish, and we break up the slope of the slide. So it kind of makes a lower risk slide zone and kind of allows, yeah, exactly, areas for vegetation to take hold and for the landslide to recover faster. We're also in our 4th year of in-stream work at Tranquil River this year, so that involves building these engineered log jam structures within the river itself to provide habitat for fish. And we've been working with a company of river restoration engineers in Oregon for the last 3 years, so they do all of our designs for us and do all our hydraulic modeling and basically design our prescriptions for us. And this year we're going to be doing quite a large project in the Tranquil River, sort of depending on whether we can get the wood to our site, which kind of requires the air crane, which might be working on forest fires for the entire summer. So that's kind of up in the air right now. We're also been working in the Bedwell River and Howzit territory, building beaver dam analog systems, so sort of these structures that mimic the effects of what a beaver dam would do to a floodplain. And at Leo River, we're doing a lot of riparian work there and doing some assessments, mostly to do with terrain stability and road deactivation on that watershed. Assessments and planning, we are working with Clayoquot First Nation as part of the offset from the Highway 4 Kennedy Hill project. So they've set aside a little bit of money for them to do an in-stream project on the Upper Kennedy River. So we're working with them, and we've just secured a little bit of extra money for that project. So next year, I think we'll be starting just down from 4 Lanes area. So again, building some in-stream habitat for fish, working with floodplain reestablishing connection, and again, we're working with that same company in Oregon to design all of those structures for us. So that's a really exciting new watershed for us. We also have a new employee on our team, Andy McKinnon, who you guys might know. He's written a lot of plant ecology. I'm getting a little too in-depth here. I'm going to back off. We're also working at Thunderous Creek, and we're working with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, doing culvert assessments on Thunderous Creek and all the way from Highway 4 Kennedy Hill construction project all the way to Port Alberni, assessing every single culvert for fish passage and function. to see if any, well, I'm sure most of them probably would like to be addressed. And then we're doing a lot of terrain stability assessments in Hydro Hill, Tranquil River. Research, we still are wrapping up the freshwater risk assessment, which is a long-term study with DFO. It's a multi-year research contract identifying and rating the risk factors that affect salmon in West Coast rivers. So that's involved about a year of hosting roundtables up and down the coast of the West Coast. So with First Nations, all the stakeholders to gather all the information, and this is to kind of guide policy making on a higher level and priorities for land use management. I'm going to skip through this. We're carrying forward with a red scour study in Tranquil River, but also partnering with Hoyt in the Cerritos River. And so that's quantifying the level of gravel scour and known spawning areas. And we're also carrying on with a kelp monitoring study in both, this is our third year, I think, in Barkley Sound, and partnering with Toquat and Uthulithat Nation. And then we're expanding it this year to a Howsett territory in Clayoquot Sound. Okay, we also are involved in a little bit of environmental monitoring still. We're wrapping up on the Highway 4 Kennedy Hill project. So right now we're just doing some signage work with Giselle Martin for the rest area. And we are going to be doing the environmental monitoring for the BC Hydro Twining project, I believe is what it's called. So the doubling up of the hydro poles in the park. We're also doing environmental monitoring for Tofino's wastewater treatment plant, for BC Hydro new building in New Cluet, and that's that. And then we also just had two great new recurring fundraisers this spring, which were really well attended. The Triple Plank and the Boat to Tailgate. So those were great. And then this summer we're planning to carry on with our Summer Nights program that we hosted last year. So that was mostly focused around just bringing music and hosting kind of small one-off events at our shop that we have an end office just across from the co-op there. But this year we're going to do some more performances. We're going to have some Clayoquot dancer and song performances, and we're going to host some workshops as well. So stay tuned for that. And that's all. Does anyone have any questions?
What do you
Was
do?
that a lot?
What do you do in your spare time?
Me? I don't know. Yeah, yeah. It's like there's a lot going on and a lot to keep tabs of. I'm Megan. Also, I'm the general manager, so I'm mostly helping with the logistics and the planning of everything now. But yeah.
Yeah, I can see why you need 30 employees. That's
a
lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on.
And Andy McKinnon, he helped the Wild Pacific Trail Society with their signage, their interpretive signage, like in
That's right.
Spring Cove. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's an awesome guy. You're lucky to have him.
Yes. That's good.
Any questions for Megan? Okay, thanks for your presentation. Next up, I have the Pacific Rim Rotary Club. Anybody here for that?
Yes, that would be me. Hello?
Oh, hi, Lori.
Hi. I get this position so I'm sort of in a very strange place to do this. That'll have to do, I think. Can you guys see and hear okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I am the current president of the Rotary Club of the Pacific Rim, handing off reins very soon to Kelly Deacon, who will take over after me. But just a quick update for what our club does. We are small but mighty. We have 24 current active members who do a lot within both our community and Tofino's community. So I'm going to run through some of the projects and events and some of the support that we do for particularly Ucluelet at the moment. We have done several projects this year in conjunction with many of the groups that you guys have already heard from today. So for example, our Earth Day project was in conjunction with the Surfrider Pacific Rim group and Ucluelet Rennet Center. I'm happy to report with our disc golf project in conjunction with the district, we have now completed or have roughed in 4 of the 9 holes over the last couple of weekends. We have many volunteers who are stepping up and helping us rough in the rest of the course. That project is being guided by Jeff Anderson, and we should have a soft opening up and running ready for everyone to be golfing with discs starting in October of this year. We also work in conjunction with the district for Pumpkins in the Mist, and last year we had almost 200 participants who came, especially the kids. They all had a very, very good time. We use local artists in conjunction with Praz, and we do call outs to local artists for our puzzles, and we sell those as a fundraiser to help fund all of these various and sundry projects that we work on. The first one was a very iconic Marla Thirsk painting of Lighthouse. The second puzzle is an educational puzzle of a West Coast tidal pool, and when you flip the box over, it tells you exactly what everything is in the picture and where it lives. We, on very short notice, took on the Chowder Chowdown this year and had a highly successful chowdown with the Whale Fest. Nearly 270 bowls of chowder or samples or tastings of chowder were issued and sent out. Everyone very much enjoyed it, and we know next year it'll be even bigger and better. We've done kayak cleanups and remote beach cleans with Hello Nature, and we are in the process of working with the ANAF right now to help them with their ramp access and washrooms once they get their roofing situation sorted out. We plan on helping them build a new ramp. We've also stepped forward and have agreed we're going to run the pancake breakfast this year on the Saturday of Yuki Days. So prepare to see my truck and hear us yelling and screaming about 7 a.m. Everybody up, it's time for pancakes. And we're going to also assist Praz with their summer festival. So as I said, we are a small club, but we are very mighty, and everything that we do has in mind always the benefit of the community. We, as a club, meet twice a month, once for the executive and the second time for all of our members and any interested new members who'd like to come out and hear all about us and what we're doing and how we work within our district, which includes also Northern Washington and most of Vancouver Island as well. So we're very busy, we have a lot of fun, and we're doing a lot of wonderful things within our community. So does anybody have any questions for us?
That's great, Lori. Thanks for your update. Any questions for Lori? This is a quiet group today.
It is.
And you have a social tomorrow night, don't you?
We do. We have a social tomorrow night at the ANAF. It's at 6 o'clock, and our members come out. We support the food trucks. We have a gathering then, and that's where anyone interested can certainly come and hear about what we're doing and what's coming up, and then gathering for the next year. We do a rundown of all the projects that we have.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
And next I have Ucluelet and Area Historical Society. Welcome, Barb.
The short people. Okay. Better. Hi, everybody. Too short. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having our presentation today. Just a very short update. We are looking for some information or possible ideas on storage, as the location that our office is presently in is very limited to space. And we find that a lot of people leaving the community over the last few years have items to donate to us, but we're losing those items now because they're getting misplaced or lost. People are waiting to hand us over stuff, but we just really don't have the space to take on equipment. So if there's any possible space anywhere, we thought at one time we might have some space in a building, but I believe the buildings are being removed potentially. So if there's any thoughts on that, we'd appreciate any assistance with that. And we're still working towards the Japanese pavilion. We haven't met with the planning department yet, reached out. Still working on that, but we are assured with the Japanese Legacy Fund that Ucluelet actually is documented. There actually was a press release with Ucluelet being named as one of the few people receiving money towards this legacy fund. So we are still working on that currently with different project people. We've met with a Japanese carpenter to discuss different architectural designs for the building. That is a part of the legacy fund too. There's very specific rules that we'll be needing to follow. They actually state that they want a professional researcher on history components as well. So there's lots of things that we're looking at and working on. Yeah, we had a very successful Mother's Day plant sale. Thanks for everybody that participated and donated. We'll have a tent at Yuki Day, so pop by, see what we're doing, what's happening. And I think that's really, those are the last few things we've been working on right now.
That's great, Barb. With regard to the Japanese pavilion, do you have a tentative location in mind?
We do have a site location in mind, but I'm not sure the district knows that quite yet. So yes, we would like it in the harbor area, just because the harbor brings all three communities together, right? The First Nations, the settlers, and the Japanese, and that's where we all met, was basically on the water, and we all derived our food and stuff from the water. So we do have a site in mind that would be local for everybody to get there, and it will be an outdoor pavilion style education component. So we just haven't met with the planning department to make sure that this would work for them as well, and the rest of the district. But yeah, we have a site location in mind.
Great. Any questions for Barb from council?
Just a quick one. You mentioned, you're moving forward and there's all sorts of rules. You don't have to worry about a time limit on the money or how long it takes you to...
We don't have the specifications yet. We just know there's some rules coming down. We're aware of some of them. Our grant application, they haven't put it out yet. They're just late, as we're all a little bit behind. But the more that we can have ready for that application, so meeting with the planning department, having that site secured, our builder secured, it just proves how, this is important to our community to have a monument regarding our Japanese Canadian members.
Cool. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for the update, Barb.
Okay, thanks, guys.
So I'm just going to circle back to the two that we missed. Care Network, James Rogers.
James, are you on Zoom? I don't think James is on Zoom at this time.
And the Ucluelet Children's Center, Kathy DeVries.
Kathy, are you available? Not at this time.
Okay, so we'll call for any other representatives from local community groups. Josh, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself? Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Jenkins. I'm the new executive director for the Ucluelet Chamber of Commerce. I'm very new to the position, so that's why none of you have really heard of me or been contacted by me.
Maybe move your mic up, because you have to really talk right into that.
And just to let everybody know that I will be contacting everybody and trying to meet up with all of you at some point to try to see how we could be working together, really wanting to try to reinvigorate the Chamber of Commerce in the community and show that we want to be an active participant in everything that's going on, not just the reinvigoration of the chamber and the supporting the local businesses, but just working with everybody in general, trying to make us do what we can to help make us even stronger community than we already have. So looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And I got to say, I'm having a bit of initiative naming envy after listening to the Surfrider Foundation presentation. So anyways, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. Good job on that. But
Great. Thanks, Josh. It was nice to see the newsletter that you put out yesterday.
Yeah,
from
thanks.
the chamber.
That's going to be, we're going to be doing that every 2 weeks now.
Excellent.
Try to have lots of good information and stuff on there. Lots of initiatives coming on the way, so working hard.
I see that.
Okay.
Does council have any questions for Josh? No. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Kelly? Praz? I think you have a festival coming up, don't you?
Whoops. Hi. I'm Kelly Deacon. I'm the Executive Director for the Pacific Rim Art Society. I actually came today because I wasn't really understanding what the whole thing was about, what everybody wanted to hear, and I didn't really get that it was just updates, what was happening. So with the Pacific Rim Art Society, we're just getting ready to launch the summer festival. We just finally had all our permissions granted from everybody we were waiting for. And the summer festival takes place between Ucluelet and Tofino, July 1st to 21st. It's basically based on music and art. Let's see. Our grants are actually coming in a lot less than they have been over the past few years, so we're actually having to charge for some of the events where normally the Art Society likes all the events to be free. We are charging a small fee, basically $10 for some of the events. Lots of the events are still free because we want to still have that component there. After the summer festival is over, we'll be working on the Cultural Heritage Festival, which is this year's theme, pardon me, is about the trees. We haven't ironed out the title yet, but we are working with Rain Coast Education and a Historical Society, a couple others. Can't think off the top of my head. Put me on the spot, Barb. Yeah, after that, we'll be working on our AGM, hopefully looking for some new board members. Our board members seem to be dwindling. One of our most active members is Lothar Mick, and he's a high school student, so he is going off to further education after the summer here, so we won't have him anymore. And then we just start the year all over again with all our planning. So we've got the Art Splash, Missoula Children's Theater, which happens at the beginning of every year, Art Splash, which happens in March, then the Summer Festival again in July, and then the Cultural Heritage Festival again in September. And yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Kelly. Any idea why your grants are lower than usual?
Because all the funders say that they're getting 3 times as many asks as they were previously. Mm-hmm. The art societies and arts council and arts programs have really multiplied over the COVID years. I'm not sure why. I guess everybody figured that was a good time to get into the arts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so now grants that we were previously asking for, say, have tripled the number of asks for them. So you can understand, they're trying to spread the money out so that everybody gets some. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Any questions from council? No? Okay, thanks for coming up, spur of the moment. Ms. McCullough, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak?
Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? I see a few people on Zoom, but not the names we have written down, but this is your opportunity to speak. Doesn't look like anybody is available at this time to speak.
Okay, I can do a quick little update for Toastmasters. We are still a Zoom club. I'm the only flesh and blood member living in Ucluelet. So we have a few members from Penticton and from the Lower Mainland. We're going to do 2 open houses in September, September 11th and the 25th. Those are both Mondays. It is a really great educational program. It helps to it helps everybody just to speak better, to learn interview skills, leadership skills, Zoom skills. And so we're hoping that we get a good turnout. We'll have some really dynamic speakers, both those meetings. And so they're both Mondays, 6:30 till 8, and hoping to get some people interested. All right, this is a question period, an opportunity for the public to ask questions and provide comments on items that have been addressed on today's agenda. Items not related to today's agenda will not be heard. Are there any questions from the audience? Pardon me? They're on Zoom. Yes. We were doing hybrid for a while there were several of us living here, so we were using the community center here as the in-person location, and then having people Zoom in. But now that I'm the only one living here, it's just strictly on Zoom. But there will be posters put up around town closer to the dates. Yeah. No questions. Ms. McCullough, are there any questions by Zoom or telephone?
If anybody has any questions via Zoom, please raise your hand icon. No questions at this time.
And have we received any questions via email to communityinput@ucluelet.ca?
There are no questions at this time.
Great, then I will call this meeting adjourned at 5:06. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, did you see my email about community forest tour?